tells me these guys aren't here for items 6, 7, and 8.
Did they sign up?
Maybe we should have changed the order around so 9 and 10 could go.
Yeah,
Oh, it's still out there? Oh, okay.
Oh, you're on.
Okay, welcome to the Tuesday, March 7th, 2017 meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. Tonight, our invocation will be led by Chaplain Ed Losey and to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And we just thank you for being here.
Would you bow with me, please? Heavenly Father, as we come to you, we just pray for each of these members as they make decisions for this city. And Father, we pray for this city as we lift the city up and the people here. We just pray that the right decisions will be made and you'll be a part of that decision-making process and all that these men and women do, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Chaplain Losey, I'm not sure everybody knows that you're our chaplain at the jail. We want to thank you for that service that you provide for our community. And it's been a long, how many years have you been there?
Since 1995.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for what you do for our people. Thank you. Okay, I hereby call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson. Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Ramick. Foley.
Here.
Carney.
Here. Okay. The first item of business tonight is to consider the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including items, if any, to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
And all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, it is adopted. The second item of business is to consider the approval of the minutes, and we have several there that we had not had previously. The regular meeting held on January 17th, February 7th, and February 21. So hopefully we read all of those, so we'll know if they're all correct. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Mayor
So
also
moved.
move.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, they are adopted. In an effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items on tonight's agenda, I want to remind our citizens and our guests that we adhere to a 3-minute limit on your comments, and for your convenience, we will display a clock timer that alarms when you go over. Out of respect for all of us, we ask that you honor this request, and while members of the board may have questions of the speakers, we ask that you do so. Reserve the comments from the board until after all the speakers have been heard. As a reminder, would everyone please speak into the microphone so that everyone can be heard for those attending and viewing the meeting from the television, and we ask that you state your name and address so that can be for our record. We also ask that all cell phones be silenced during our meeting, and please refrain from any disruptions of the meeting. Should you need to leave prior to the conclusion of the meeting, we ask that you do so quietly so that we continue the business of the city. We want to welcome our guests tonight. We have a full house. We thank you all for being citizens concerned with our city, and we thank you for being here. And we also have a proclamation to read. So I will read that, and we have Keith Keck, with the, there you are, with the, I know what it is, Red Cross, right? Okay, you want to come on up and I'll read it to you, and then I'll give you a couple of minutes to tell us about what's going on with the Red Cross. Whereas in Hot Springs, Arkansas, we have a long history of helping our neighbors in need. American Red Cross Month is a special time to recognize and thank our heroes, those Red Cross volunteers and donors who give of their time and resources to help community members. And whereas these heroes help families find shelter after a home fire. They give blood to help trauma victims and cancer patients. They deliver comfort items to military members in the hospital. They use their life-saving skills to save someone from a heart attack, drowning, or choking. They enable children around the globe to be vaccinated against measles and rubella. And whereas the American Red Cross depends on local heroes to deliver help and hope during a disaster, we applaud our heroes here in Hot Springs, Garland County, Arkansas, who give of themselves to assist their neighbors when they need a helping hand. During the past 12 months, local Red Cross heroes assisted 71 families impacted by home fires, 80 families with a fire escape safety plan, installed 174 alarms in homes, and instructed 90 children on how to be safe during an impending disaster through the Pillowcase Project. And whereas across the country and around the world, the American Red Cross responds to disasters, big and small. In fact, every 8 minutes, the organization responds to a community disaster, providing shelter, food, emotional support, and other necessities to those affected. It collects nearly 40% of the nation's blood supply, provides 24-hour support to military members, veterans, and their families, teaches millions of life-saving skills such as lifeguarding and CPR, and through its Restoring Family Links program connects family members separated by crisis, conflict, or migration. And whereas we dedicate the month of March to all those who support the American Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies, our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on donations of time, money, and blood to fulfill its humanitarian mission. Now, therefore, I, Ruth Carney, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim March 2017 as American Red Cross Month. In Hot Springs, Arkansas, I encourage all Americans to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. In witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on the 7th day of March in the year of our Lord, 2017. And Mr. Keck.
Want to cross any lines? I don't want
You
to.
might get shot, huh?
I saw
Probably
him.
announced that.
I'm not sure how to pull that down. Here we go. Here we go. Let's present it to you. Like my right hand or left hand. How do you- Thank you so much. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you kind
of.
of.
We appreciate all that you do for our community.
You kind of heard all the stuff that the mayor read that we are involved in right now. It's the simple things that you don't think of. I saw on your displays here that the fire department had about changing out your smoke detectors. I mean, that's a simple thing because it's getting out of the house so that the fire folks can get there and try to save the house. But what we really key on is saving the lives. And it's the unfortunate factor of just, about week and a half ago, and I had to work the case of we did lose an individual here in Mountain Pine trying to rescue her sister there. But it's really a challenge there, and we just, you think about that as citizens, get out of the house, whatever you can do, and you can always recover, you can replace stuff. And it's not only the blood and the fires, but there's my counterparts that have been very busy. In fact, we were busy last night. With all the storms coming through, you don't think about the storms, but the Red Cross up in northwest Arkansas has been busily for the last 24 hours, and we were busy down here all set up ready to respond. And thank God we haven't had the storms that they had in north central and northwest and into Oklahoma. We just thank you, and we look forward to continuing the great support that we get out of Hot Springs and supporting when we get the call. And we're there 24/7 to take the call.
We thank you so much, and tell your volunteers that we really appreciate what they do. Let's give him a She's not here. I do have another proclamation that I'm going to go and read this week. I'm just going to tell you about her a little bit. She's not here, but this is to celebrate her 100th birthday, and her name is Pearl Trussell. She was born on March the 9th, 1917, and she is a longtime member of the Bridge House of Hot Springs and has enjoyed playing bridge there almost weekly for many years. And she still drives her car, and she lives alone and takes care of herself, and she's 100 years old. And this is a proclamation for her birthday, which will be celebrated at the Bridge House this Thursday. But I thought that was just so awesome, and she loves pink, so we don't usually do these in pink. But Sheila did a great job, and she's got the ribbons on it. So that's for Pearl. Just wanted y'all to know that, and we appreciate the citizens of our community that have contributed. I think she was a teacher for several years in the Hot Springs school system, I think. We're not sure. Couldn't get all the information. But happy birthday, Pearl. We will now entertain, no, we won't entertain your report. We will hear our city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, board members and public. Last week, Operation Thunderstruck, a felony warrant roundup, involved 52 law enforcement officers from local, state, and federal agencies. It resulted in the arrest of 37 individuals initially and 3 more by the end of the day with outstanding felony warrants for arrest. These warrants were for a wide range of theft and violent offenses. I just want to congratulate HSPD, Chief Stacey, and the leadership team there. It's a phenomenal, successful, large-scale crime-fighting operation in our city. It's the second such operation completed in the last year. We also want to recognize Garland County Prosecutor's Office, the Sheriff's Office, Arkansas Community Corrections, U.S. Marshals Service, U.S. Department of State Diplomatic Security Service. All of those were among our partners on that operation last week. Just a great job. Teamwork was exceptional. So thank you. Also, HSPD had an officer this week that, recently Officer Tiffany McCauley responded to an incident on Crescent Street in reference to a person suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound that hit an artery. So it was a pretty tragic situation. Officer McCauley applied a tourniquet, which immediately saved the young person's life. At this point, close to 10 area citizens are alive today thanks to men and women in blue who have been trained and equipped to administer a tourniquet when necessary. I want to thank Officer McCauley and all of our officers for their daily efforts to protect and serve.
Let's give our officers a hand. Y'all deserve it.
You know you're having a bad day when your life is saved by a tourniquet. But without that training and the commitment from our team members out there in blue, we wouldn't have that life today. So I really appreciate what they do. Phenomenal. So also we had a recent kickoff we have some Adopt a Street partners, some new ones. We had our litter control campaign recently started up again, and more residents are taking pride in the appearance of their city. We'd like to acknowledge 3 new partners in the Solid Waste Department's Adopt a Street program. Those are the Arkansas School for Mathematics, Science, and the Arts, the Courtyard Group, and the Hot Springs Jesse Hawkins Lions Club. Each of these groups have committed to cleaning up their adopted street for 2 to 4 times a year for a minimum of 2 years. I want to thank these groups for concern about the environment and helping to make our city look more attractive for both our residents and visitors. If your family, club, school, or organization would like to adopt a street, please contact the Solid Waste Department and they'll get you started. Also, there are a couple of significant dates coming up in March for activities that involve the fire department. First is the fire department's candidate recruiting seminar at the Central Fire Station on March 15th. And then we have our vendor meeting for our communications system request for proposals, and that's going to be on March 16th. And next, in Public Works, we have a couple of notices for events. And this is kind of an oxymoron for me. The first ever 14th annual World's Shortest St. Patrick's Day Parade will be held Friday, March 17th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. right out here. So please attend if you want to see. It'll be my first one, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Then the 13th Annual Valley of the Vapors Independent Music Festival begins Friday, March 17th, and it goes through Tuesday, March 21st at various downtown venues. And then just before the meeting, I learned that late Monday at the last, I think it's the last opportunity deadline for a senator to file a bill, Senator Alan Clark filed a shell bill, which means we only have the title of the bill, no text. And that bill was to form a metropolitan government with the county. I don't know any details or have any other information at this time about that. And that's my report, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Do any of our board members have announcements concerning upcoming events? Yes, ma'am.
Since we're getting into the season of lots of events, festivals, fairs, all sorts of things, I'm going to suggest that you go to several websites to keep up. ArkansasArts.org gives you ones all across the state. HotSpringsArts.org gives you the local ones. Plus, the Springs Magazine always has a great listing, and this year it will have a pullout of all the events with Arts in the Park, which culminates a 10-day festival ending on Mother's Day. But also check the Sentinel Record to keep up, because there's so many to list and a lot to enjoy all over the community. Thank you.
There you go. Anything else? Okay. I do want to express our condolences to Brian Albright's family. His stepfather passed away this last week, and the funeral service was yesterday. And we just want to let your mom and family members know that we've been praying for them and our condolences for them. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's always difficult when those things are in our families. Okay, the next item of business is consideration of the consent agenda. Items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Okay. Is that a... Okay. Do we have a motion and a second? You figure it out.
I think that was a concurrent motion, Mayor.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Yes,
Susan.
a motion and a second. Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay. That was the only item on our consent agenda. The next items will be our new business. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01710. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I need it? I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01710, an ordinance authorizing a contract for services with Hot Springs Metro Partnership for a retirement relocation program, waiving competitive bidding, and for other matters related thereto. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And who will be doing discussion?
Mayor, for the past several years, Hot Springs Metropolitan Partnership has provided retirement and relocation services for the city of Hot Springs. This proposed contract delineates the services to be provided and the terms by which they will be provided. Hot Springs Metro Partnership has been deemed to be the best suited to provide these services on behalf of the city. Jim Fram is here this evening to present to the board what these services will include and answer any questions that you may have.
Okay.
Thank you, and I hope this doesn't really mess anything up, but we have stricken the word retirement from our relocation program because we're actually targeting relocation of any age group, any occupation group that wants to relocate to the community. This is done primarily by an electronic media that we started last year, aptly named Splash. The Splash name comes from all the lakes and the water amenities available around. It's an electronic media. It shows up on our webpage. We can send it electronically to a list. It can also be printed into a hard copy that makes a real nice slick-covered magazine. I intend to, on the first of our 4 quarterly reports this year, to hopefully be able to demonstrate that to you on the screens that are in here at an upcoming meeting real soon. That's gotten rave reviews so far and gotten real good response, and we're learning how to adapt it to social media. Be happy to answer any questions you might
I
have.
have a question. Is that linked to our website?
I believe our two websites are linked together. I don't know if that specific product is linked to your website, but we can make that happen.
We probably need that to happen so that they'll know that
Right.
we're with you. Okay. Any other questions?
Just for the board's information and members of the public, the consideration for the services rendered under this contract is $12,500 on an annual basis.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, discussion? We don't have anyone signed up for that. Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01711. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, we have discussion on that, and that would be you again, right?
Want me to read it first?
Yes,
I think?
please read it.
Ordinance 01711, an ordinance authorizing.
Did she get a motion to,
Oh, no, I didn't.
Not even go there?
to
Okay.
get it
A
to the
motion
floor?
and a second. All in favor, please say aye. We said aye, so we have the
Did you get a motion at all?
suspend.
No,
Let's
don't
get a
believe she did.
Motion to suspend.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Do we
I
have
thought
She got
you
the
did.
motion to suspend to
So move.
Yes, I did.
approve. Motion to approve, I'm sorry.
That's,
Okay, we did the suspension.
yeah.
I haven't read it yet, though.
I know.
Okay,
So
I
we're not
was-
going
I
on
was
without
waiting.
you. Okay.
01711, an ordinance authorizing a contract for services with Hot Springs Metro Partnership, waiving competitive bidding, and for other matters related thereto. Now, Mayor, if you would entertain a motion second to approve, and then have discussion.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Okay. Do we have a second to approve? And discussion now would be you also.
Mayor, this is a similar item. This is the services for general economic development, whereas the previous item was for relocation services. This is a contract with the Hot Springs Metro Partnership to provide economic development services for the city of Hot Springs. And again, this proposed contract would delineate the services to be provided and the terms by which they would be provided. Mr. Fram is here to explain those in a little more detail and answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you very much, Mayor and City Manager and the Board. This contract contains 20 items in its scope of services that are very specific items connected with business recruitment, business retention, and business expansion. It also requires us to make quarterly reports to the city, and we intend to do that along with quarterly invoicing. The contract also calls for us to coordinate economic development activities with the city manager. City manager and the mayor do serve on the partnership board, and we do coordinate our activities with them. Also calls to represent the city in economic development organizations such as the International Economic Development Council, the Southern Economic Development Council, and a new organization that we just became very active in last year, the International Council of Shopping Centers, which helps us put together a very robust retail program. Our new Vision 2020 that we started January 1st of this year contains all of these contractual elements that are located in the contract. And the last item I'd like to remind you of is we will present an annual audit when it's prepared, and I would anticipate that's probably sometime in the month of April or May when we'll have that complete, and we'll present copies of that to the city board. Would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Have any questions?
And what, the amount of that contract is $100,000, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And it's pretty detailed, isn't it? That's going to make you have some hard work there, it looks like.
Very detailed contract, yes.
Very detailed. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Okay. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01712. That's right. First of all, we'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. The council, would you read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01712, an ordinance calling a special election on the question of approving or rejecting ordinance number 6173 of the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas, and prescribing other matters related thereto. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would now entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and discussion.
I'll handle this one, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you. As council had just spoken about, this item is to approve an ordinance, consider an ordinance to approve setting a special election date for the ordinance 6173. This was the Enclave Area C, and this was tracks A and B within that particular enclave. On January 19th, the petition sponsor, Mr. Michael Fleming, brought to the city clerk's office petitions requesting a referendum of that particular ordinance. Throughout the verification process, the petition sponsor was notified by verification of the certification on February the 9th that the petition signatures had met over the 1,425 signatures needed. And basically the next step within that process would be for the board to set this special election date. And within the BARF, we had the request form, we had set out several election dates pursuant to state code. So essentially what you have to do is set the special election date shall not be less than 60 days following the date that the ordinance is enacted. So at the top of your request form, we did list several dates for you all to consider. The fiscal impact of this particular item for a special election is approximately $20,000 to $25,000. That concludes the presentation.
Okay. Do we have?
Mayor, at this point, I mean, given the fact that the ordinance was submitted to you all with a blank for the date, I think it would be appropriate at this point to get the input from the board and perhaps even a motion to amend in order to insert a date. State law does say that it has to be more than 60 days. So your earliest possible date would be May the 9th, and then other dates that are there as suggestions for you.
Okay. Do we have a motion to amend?
Actually, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to repeal ordinance number 6173.
Is that in the form of amendment to this ordinance, to this motion on the floor?
Or would be a substitute motion?
No, I'm wanting to amend the ordinance, not
Yeah.
the amendment, the ordinance. I want to repeal the ordinance.
Okay. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but we have a motion on the floor that is to adopt this ordinance. Are you asking to amend the motion that's on the floor in such a way that would repeal ordinance number 6173, which was the ordinance that the board passed earlier in December?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Second that.
Everybody understand the motion?
Okay. We have a motion and a second to amend the ordinance to repeal the ordinance
6173.
6173. We have any discussion on that?
Yeah, I would. When we embarked on this process, growth of the city through annexation has been a priority for as long as I have been on the board and before I got on the board. So it's not like anything has been a surprise. There has been an effort to meet with county officials at one time, and there was discussion about voluntary annexation, and in fact, if I recall accurately, there was a statement that it was in the best interest of both the city and the county that the borders of the city be rounded out or squared out, whatever you want to call it, so that we weren't crossing vehicles across common roads, et cetera. I mean, from a public policy standpoint, the effort was to reduce costs in both areas. And so the state legislature passed a law 2 years ago, was it? Yeah, 2 years ago, that permitted annexation of fully enclaved areas using the lake as one of the boundaries.
this board took advantage of that law by doing this without having to spend any money. And frankly, I'm not really interested in imposing a $20,000 cost on the city from my perspective to have an election when the people who don't want to come in can't get to vote anyway. So I'm just, that's why I'm seconding your motion.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a statement too. When I come in here, I actually wear two hats. I'm a time and efficiency expert by day, and I'm elected by the citizens to represent Hot Springs. And it only makes sense to me from both of these positions to round off, as Director Foley said, and to make the city and the work of the city more efficient, and also to provide enhanced services at lower cost to the people in these areas. Many have disagreed. I do want to say that I'm sorry to the people who contacted me who were eager to have these enhanced services and the lowered cost.
Any other discussion? Mr. Larry, would you like to mention anything?
I'd like to reserve my discussion when we take up the next item on the agenda.
All right. And I would like to say this is exactly what I wanted all along. So thank you. Should we have a vote now on the amendment?
You'll be voting on the amendment to the motion.
We have an amendment to the motion on number 01712. Please call the roll.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones, Carney.
Aye.
The amendment
It is adopted.
No.
Or it is amended. It is amended. Now we will adopt it. Do I have a motion to adopt as amended?
You don't need a motion to adopt as amended.
Okay.
You've approved the amendment
We've
to the
approved the
motion. You
amendment.
can either have more discussion or you can call the roll.
More discussion?
Or call the roll.
Okay, please call the roll.
May I ask what we're voting on? The amendment essentially nullified the
Actually,
the motion.
We've got to.
You amended the motion.
Correct.
There was a motion to adopt ordinance 01712. That's been amended to repeal 6173.
Correct.
So now you have to vote on that.
Okay.
You've only amended the motion.
Okay.
We have to.
There's an amended motion on the floor now that needs a vote.
So would you clarify for us what does an I produce and what does
An I would repeal ordinance number 6173, which would nullify the annexation of study area C.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Everybody clear? Would you please call the roll?
Williams,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones, Clark,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
It is adopted.
It is adopted. And-
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
before we proceed with the next item, I would like to ask council a question, and then I'll know how to proceed. What I would propose to do, rather than read all this, is simply offer a substitute motion to repeal ordinance number 6174. Is that appropriate? Do we need to go through the same process?
I don't have an ordinance to suspend the rule on.
Okay.
The only way you can amend or repeal a previous ordinance is by ordinance.
So we need to go through the same
You have
process.
to suspend the rules.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. And for this one that we just did, the item on the agenda was rendered moot for the signed up people to speak to the date. So we will go on to the next one on that one because it pretty much means there's no item on there to speak to as far as date. Is that true or not?
You've repealed 6173. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
If they were signed up to speak on ordinance 1712, which was calling for a special election.
Yes.
There's not going to be a special election because you've just repealed 6173.
Right. That's what I mean. What was intended to speak.
I would concur that the further discussion is not warranted.
Okay.
I'd move to the next item.
We just passed it.
Okay.
More to go.
We will go to item number 01713. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay. Council, would you please read by title?
Ordinance 01713, an ordinance calling a special election on the question of approving or rejecting ordinance number 6174 of the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas, and prescribing other matters related thereto. If you would now, Mayor, please entertain a motion and second to adopt, and then we'll have discussion.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt
So moved.
Second.
and a second and discussion now on that adoption?
Would you like me to,
Call the roll on the motion and
I think Brian,
Lance has got a BARF that he can present to you, but
Okay.
it's essentially the same information that he provided to you with respect to 6173 for Area C. The same applies for Area D. There was a referendum petition that was received by the city clerk's office. The requisite number of signatures were secured and certified, and so this ordinance is to set the date for such a special election, if that's the board's pleasure.
Okay. Do we have
I believe
discussion
you're
on
about
that?
to get a motion.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to offer an amendment. I'd like to propose an amendment to repeal ordinance number 6174. That's in reference to the Enclave D annexation.
So the motion to adopt that is on the floor is being asked to be amended in such a way that it would repeal 6174. Is there a second to that?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay. Now we need is there any discussion to that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. You may recall that in December of last year, when we voted on the Enclave C and D annexations, that I did vote for C. In fact, I voted for all the other enclaves A, B, and C. I did not feel that Enclave D was in the best interest of the city to be added. I was the sole director that night to vote against that. I still believe that was an enclave too far. But in light of the fact of the number of signatures that have been obtained, and many of those signatures were obtained by people who live in Enclave D, I think that in many ways they were the foot soldiers that got the signatures. And also in reviewing the history of annexation elections in this community, and I'm not to just say that there weren't signatures scattered by people in other areas. Okay, but in reviewing past history, when these annexations have come before a vote, the last one that actually passed in the city was 1987, when 14 of 22 precincts voted for it, but it still failed by 200 votes because county people voted 4-1 against. But in subsequent elections, which were held in 1989 and also in 1998, even city voters defeated those annexations. And I knew that this was going to be a tall order if we proceeded with this election to make the case that this needed to be done. And so it also would have dominated our agenda from now till that time. And I think there are more important things that we can be working on as a board. And so for that reason, I am offering this amendment to set aside the Enclave D annexation.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I would agree with Director Williams. I mean, we have our plate full, and the positive energy that has been going on in this city has been nothing short of phenomenal in the 25, 26 years that I have been in this city. And to have a distraction like this take away from that energy, I think would be a disservice to this community.
Okay.
all.
Any other discussion? Okay. All right. Hearing none, may I have we need a motion to adopt.
Already got it.
Got it.
You ready to call the
Call
roll?
the roll, please.
Assuming that everyone understands that an aye vote would repeal ordinance number 6174.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones, Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Is adopted.
It is adopted. So the two sections have been repealed.
What about B?
It wasn't on the agenda. I tell you what, if you guys want to hang on a minute, we'll open up the public comment section. It's right after this, and let you, since
I'd like to speak to this issue.
it will be, you will speak to this.
I didn't sign up for public comment.
Okay.
I'd like to speak while we're on television.
You may do that. Come ahead.
No, the issue is finished, is it not?
Yeah, the issue for the date is no longer there, so this is repealed, but you may speak.
George Pritchett, 207 Crestwood. You know, Director Foley was correct. Square off, but it didn't meet the needs of the people in our city. It didn't meet the needs of the people in the county. The cost savings is a smokescreen. No one can prove there's a cost saving. Everything was done by smoke and mirrors with estimates and data that they didn't substantiate. You know, we didn't go out and gather those signatures, and I wasn't one of them out there standing in the cold, but the people sitting behind me and those that didn't go out there for you all to see that you have a losing deal, and then you repeal it after putting everyone through that. You turned us away on B because we come one day late. You're not doing anything about B. We're going to continue to press forward. But when you say that this would be better, it's not better. It's not better for the people. So I want you to be on notice. This is not over. I will be filing a lawsuit for an election. We signed petitions for an election. That's what we signed for. We didn't sign to come up here so you all could decide that you're going to get beat in an election, and then you'll repeal it. I have, under advice of counsel, I've told that we will be able to get an election. So we're going to get an election. We'll go back to court. We'll continue to go to court. We will fight for the election. You didn't ask us to bring petitions in and say, well, if you bring enough petitions, we'll repeal the ordinance, because you didn't do that with B. Now you've done it with C and D when you look foolish. You look very foolish. So here we are. You haven't said a thing about B. Will you all consider dropping B? People in B worked equally as hard.
Let them go and we'll walk away.
Just a minute. We'll
No.
do this in
I'm
order.
speaking.
You
I'm
will do
going to
this in
file
order.
this lawsuit. I'm not negotiating. I've heard there's all kinds of negotiations this past week between city officials and others. Y'all don't have any right to negotiate anything except in the public eye, and there's been no negotiations in the public eye. Now, if we want to have public hearings and we want to have negotiations here, we'll do it. But until such time as we get our election to show you how many people in the city, because we have people lined up to work very hard to have a turnout for this election. We're not going to be defeated at the poll. You need to know how many people in this city don't want this. And if y'all want to get on with business, you can get on with business by stopping forced annexation like you have of C and D, and you dismissed E, but you need to stop annexation of Area B. We're pressing forward and spending tens of thousands of dollars on the city, and private citizens are spending money. We don't want you to be let off the hook this easy. Thank you.
Okay. He raises a question that I have also. I mean, how do we deal with that since they did collect the petitions for an election? Council, can you help me out there? Yes, I'll let you speak. But wait just a minute. Oh, well.
What are we speaking to? I don't mind the speaking after the meeting is closed.
Okay.
but we've
My name
passed
is Renee Westfall. I live at 102 Glen Meadow in District 6. Director Foley, what we're speaking to
Madam Mayor, would you remind the speaker to speak to the board, please?
I was answering your question. What I'm speaking to
Okay.
is the fact that because of the technicalities, the signatures in B weren't counted. There were as many people signing for B as there were for C and D. B was it was thrown out on a technicality as well. How is that any way fair to those people? And I'll listen to your answers.
Thank you. Okay, what we have here are a lot of citizens in our room that came and did sign up for speaking. I will not, as long as I'm mayor, prohibit them from having a voice televised. Okay? And so we have, if we need to, we'll go through every one of these. If not, we'll allow you, if your name is on here and you want to speak, you may speak. But if you don't want to speak, you don't have to. But I will not prohibit the citizens from our city to not have a voice over these issues that we've been struggling with.
Mr. Attorney,
Yes.
I'd like to offer a motion. I'd like to appeal the mayor's ruling and overrule her and proceed with the next item on the agenda.
There's not another item.
There is no item on
Well, then we proceed to adjournment, because I just think that we're just going to waste a lot of people's time here.
Is that a motion?
Okay.
Well, why don't we we're going to adjourn this meeting in a minute, and anybody who wants to stay and speak can.
It won't be televised.
There's some other people I would like to go home.
I just feel like if
Well,
this
some of
meeting-
us want to watch NCIS.
Okay.
I've already done my important part. I've cast my vote.
Mr. Williams, we're not going to holler back and forth to the people, but
Did I second the
there a
motion or not?
I don't know. I didn't hear. To
got a
overrule
motion
me
and a
and
second.
adjourn the meeting? Oh, well, that's sweet. Okay.
Oh, come on.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, no. All in favor, call the roll.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Carney.
No.
Motion still carries.
That concludes the business section of tonight. If you will stay a few minutes, we will have, after our adjournment, we will have a public comment section, and you will be allowed to speak. There be no further business. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Or is that it?
That
You
was it.
adjourned? Okay, we're adjourned. All right. We'll wait till she changes the